Now I want to tell you something about the members of our family who, through Waddesdon, have been particularly involved with Israel and the Jewish community. Jimmy Rothschild, who really inherited the property out of the blue. He'd come, he was the son of Baronet Rothschild, who'd established settlements in Palestine to give a new life to persecuted Russian Jews. He, out of the blue, inherited Waddesdon from Ferdinand's sister Alice. He'd left Paris for England after the Dreyfus case, and his wife, Dolly, helped Chaim Weizmann in his stupendous efforts to establish the State of Israel by connecting him into the establishment of Great Britain. When she was only 19, Weizmann wrote to her 33 letters during the course of the year. He didn't know anybody. He was a fairly impoverished chemist in Manchester, and she had contacts and introduced him to people like Lord Crewe and Lord Rosebery. And I think it's fair to say that the Balfour Declaration might not have happened without her and her husband's support. Jimmy Rothschild, throughout his life, was a passionate supporter of the Jewish community. And when conditions for Jews in Austria and Germany became intolerable in the 1930s, some of you may know this, the British government made provision for 10,000 unaccompanied children to be given refuge, known as the Kindertransport. And Jimmy and Dolly offered to help by providing a home for 30 of those children at Waddesdon. It was literally a last-minute escape. Now, Jimmy and Dolly were also childless, and in effect those 30 children became theirs. And interestingly, almost all of them had successful careers. One, for example, was a golf professional, and another looked after the estate of a British Earl. On my side of the family, the first Lord Rothschild became the first Jewish peer in 1885, and his successor, Walter, was a deeply eccentric individual with a passion for collecting specimens of natural history, including giant tortoises. You can see him riding one of them. Butterflies, beetles, birds and fleas. And if you come to the Waddesdon area, you can see his collection at an extraordinary museum at Tring, which was my side of the family's property. It's only about 10 miles from Waddesdon. And surprisingly, very surprisingly really, given his temperament, he was converted to Zionism by my Hungarian grandmother, Rosica, and he fell under Weizmann's spell. And he was seen as the lay leader of the Jewish community, and the Balfour Declaration was therefore addressed to him. Now, my late cousin left me with responsibility for Waddesdon and for our foundation, Yad Hanadi, which James mentioned, which is based in Jerusalem. And today we continue our forebears' work there. Since the building of the Knesset, which Jimmy Rothschild was responsible for and which was dedicated in 1966, the foundation's activities have covered a wider and wider field. For example, the building of the Supreme Court, you can see some of them there, some of the people involved there, the Open University, the Center for Education and Technology, the Israel Institute for Advanced Studies, the Jerusalem Music Center, and the Environmental Health Fund. Now, today, we're deeply involved with the renewal of the National Library of Israel. I even had lunch today with the architects. It's going to be a wonderful building, Herzog de Muren. And I think for the first time, really, in history, and thanks to the internet, Jewish communities throughout the world will be able to be in contact with another. So I think it's going to be a tremendous project. Now, our commitment to Jewish life has continued for 8 generations. And again, James, I want to thank you both for your support this evening and for your support of Waddesdon. Sent us some very good pictures. And also as a trustee of Hanadi, happy you're here tonight, and thank you for what you've said. My hope, of course, is that Waddesdon will prosper as a place and as a centre for our family's continuing efforts in the United Kingdom and Israel for generations to come. Hopefully, some of you will come to Waddesdon, its collections and its gardens, and a room we're creating which will show the family's role in the Balfour Declaration and our support for Israel. You'll see there models of the Supreme Court building and of the library building, which is now under construction, as you see. At the Windmill Hill building, you can see early documents, photographs and correspondence relating to Beit settlements in Pika. That was the Palestine Jewish Colonization Association, which was set up to support those early settlements. Now look, inevitably, because of time, I've only given you a snapshot, perhaps snapshot's long enough, of our family, the property of Waddesdon, and our relationship with Israel. There's so much more to say, and even more to see, so I hope you might come to Waddesdon. And meanwhile, thanks for coming this evening. This event, I'd like to say, couldn't have happened without the support of Jacob Fish, who has connections with us and with many of the guests here. He's a vital link between the National Library of Israel project and Waddesdon. And then I'd like to thank Sotheby's. 100 years ago, we used to own 25% of Sotheby's.
And you still can.
Idiotically Sotheby's. Then I'd like to thank Tad Smith, your chairman, Natalie Conroy and Jennifer Roth, for so generously hosting us and welcoming this evening. Thank you very much.